Today I'm taking one more step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today, we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
Speaking of the president here, who was, of course, Zoran Mamdani's either BFF or public enemy number one, depending on the day, he is going on his own warpath here, this time not just talking about Venezuela, which we talked about earlier in the program, but he's also pushing now against the Colombian president, Gustavo Petro, as part of his campaign against drug trafficking. Kelly Jane Torrance, tell us more about the broader war against imported drugs from South America that Trump is taking on. It's not just about Venezuela. He's now opening up potentially a whole front with South America. How is this being received in New York and more broadly across the U.S.?
Well, I think most Americans are really worried about the drugs that are on our streets. Until recently, overdose deaths from drugs were up every year. Only recently it started to stabilize and even go down a tiny bit. And so most Americans are very worried about this, and they don't want drugs coming in from other countries. Now, of course, you do have liberals who, anything President Trump does, they hate. So they're, finding reasons not to like this. And of course, they don't like that he's been attacking narco terrorists as they try to come into the United States with their drugs. And so Colombia, a reporter asked him about the Colombian president, Petro, and Trump, as he often likes to think out loud, and he's saying, "Well, I haven't got any plans yet." But as he started talking, he kind of felt like he was talking himself into it. Yeah, that guy's going to be next. Let's do him next. And so, I think it's an interesting threat, and certainly Colombia's, for decades and decades, has been one of the biggest importers of drugs into America, and even drugs that are coming from other countries like Mexico they originate a lot of times in Colombia. So it's a huge problem. And certainly, one that no president really recently has tried to do anything about. President Biden certainly had no policy to try to stem the flow of illegal drugs, and certainly Barack Obama didn't. So, Trump really is one of the first presidents recently, and he's tackling it in a very different way. This is not, the war on drugs that I think is a little bit hopeless, because, attacking people here in America, possession and that sort of thing is not really going to work. But he's really going after the source of the problem, which is really, I think, a great way to tackle it. And certainly acting like who knows who could be next. Again, Trump playing the kind of wild man, that unpredictability, that does worry some of these guys, because they don't know what he's going to do. Who knows? They could be next.